Hello, I'm Kats, and welcome to today's video. So we are in the wee hours of the night, and I finally finished my grinding of Gear Hunters for this Hero's Path, specifically the Devious Path. And of course, like I mentioned in the free-to-play review for the Devious Path, in my particular case, I am indeed going for the guaranteed champion here, Varkos Head Splitter. So 12,850 points, or more specifically 12,800 points, was a specific targeted value because that is how many, or that was my target for reducing my cost in terms of the overall amount of sacreds required for the champion. It started off at 20 sacreds, but thanks to this Dungeon Divers credit, we've got that down to around 17 sacreds or so worth of points. And so our goal here is just pretty much one track mind. We're going to hug the entirety of the left hand side and go straight towards the champion. Nothing more, nothing less. And so with that, that is our purpose for pulling for today. So let's hop into the portal and talk about my overall shard count, my count at the moment. We have 595 on the ancients, 221 on the voids, 46 on the primals, and then 70 on the sacreds, which of course we'll be dipping into today. In terms of my mercy, let me pop that up on the screen so you can take a look. If you want a copy of the spreadsheet for yourself, that will be linked in the description box down below. But we are fresh off of mercy because of course we did happen to get a legendary on our last shard during 2x sacred just by happenstance, so we are back at 0, meaning that the odds are relatively low that we get a legendary side from the guaranteed, of course, but you never know because crazier things have happened. So if we are fortunate enough to get a legendary, I did pick Osgren here in terms of the progressive chance events. I have most of the other champions, couple of fusions. I mean, I guess I don't have Pelagus, but he doesn't really seem that good. But nonetheless, dwarves, my dwarf faction is honestly pretty good after Hilvi came out. She kind of provided that, or filled that niche of the AoE dwarf control champion. Because I have Molly as well. I have AoE provoke, I have AoE freeze, and he would add in the AoE stun potential. But I still picked him anyways because I don't mind collecting the various types of ally attackers in the game because it is a relatively rare ability, and it is helpful in niche content like the Cursed City to have an abundance of different faction specific ally attackers. But also in general because of course progressive chance events have a relatively low chance of proccing, maybe around 6% ish from a sacred shard that we get to the one that we've selected. So my top 3 at the moment are Martyr, Sideaxe, and Freya, but honestly I could kind of put Rhodos back at number 1 because I did, for those who missed it, I did decide to empower my Rhodos to +3, so I fed the last copy of duplicate copy into him as well. So I wouldn't mind getting a Rhodos some sooner rather than later to have him my first ever +4 champion on my account, which could be pretty darn cool. But again, let me temper my expectations. We are fresh off of Mercy, meaning that we're going to get a bunch of epics. So when we get a bunch of epics here in a row, then duplicate epics for empowerment will be useful as well. So without further ado, let's dive right in. We've got 17 sacreds to pull, meaning we're going to go from 17 down to 53. So let's dive right in and see what we can make happen today. Starting it off with an epic, and it's Baroth the Blood Soaked, who is okay HP based pseudo nuker. I do use him in the Cursed City where applicable as kind of a DPS, but also he can be a decent shielding champion. But he's okay. He's the only good really in that niche. Ultimate Garlic, really terrible. Like if you're in a pinch and you have absolutely no AoE HP burn for an epic, then he can do some work there. But other than that, he's kind of just like a Faction Wars as a champion. Giscard the Sigiled, an excellent another Faction Wars champion, but he does have a solid chance of provoking, and he can kind of keep waves locked down kind of by himself. There's our progressive chance selection for the epic. I don't really need her, but I didn't have her on my account at all. Or at least the copy that I had was used for her fusion, whichever she was a part of. So cool. She has AoE Hex and block buff, so she could be a nice progression Hydra champion. I don't need her on my account, but I'm sure she could be useful for plenty of people out there. Next up, who do we have for epics in a row so far? As expected, make it 5 road painted. Decent champion, really useful in niche content like Sand Devil, like an old school or traditional rather team if you want to go revive on death. I'll put a link to my video from a few years back about that type of that style of team if you want to check it out and you want to build that version of a Sand Devil team if you don't have Godseeker and Eerie other stuff going on. Speaking of older content as well, JRAG, I did showcase him as well in a Iron Twins team. So if you want to check that one out, I could also put that in the card up above. But yeah, ally protection, increased defense, also decent in Demon Lord Clan Boss if you have him running at a 4-3 ratio. Cool passive as well to play some continuous heals. Epic, epic, epic. Soul Drinker is next. Decent, epic bomber. You can definitely make use of him in Faction Wars and Doom Tower, that type, or not Doom Tower, Curse City type stages where applicable. He's okay. His bomb damage, his bomb multipliers aren't the best, but if it's all you have, they can be relatively decent. Ooh, we do get a legendary today, and it is Ignatius. You know what? We'll take that. He is a duplicate, but he is a duplicate in the faction where I have the least amount of duplicates aside from the Argonauts, because of course they're a new faction, so I don't really count that. But Ignatius absolutely needs a buff. He is not in a really good spot at all. He has a 5-turn cooldown AoE HP burn that cannot be resisted, which is great, but you have Walking Tomb Drang in the game who has it on a 4-turn cooldown, which can effectively be reduced a little bit because A3 can reduce the cooldown of that ability. He also activates burns on his A1, and then he has a 4-turn cooldown on an AoE provoke that's not even 100% chance. Ignatius needs a buff. Should at least be on par with Drang in so far as to have a 4-turn cooldown AoE HP burn that cannot be resisted, but just give him 100% chance to provoke. Like, come on, what are we doing here? Chance it's on the A1, but yeah, okay. But definitely going to join the well, he's going to be in the vault anyway because he's a duplicate. But I think I do have my Ignatius. Well, he has gear on. I'm not going to say he's built, but I did use him probably a little bit in a Faction War. Speaking of AoE HP or HP burn epics in the game, Mordecai, arguably one of the best. Granted, it's on a 4-turn cooldown when booked, but it is nonetheless an affinity-friendly place of AoE HP burn. Super solid, really solid progression champion. I used him for the longest time until fairly recently. He just dropped out of one of my teams. Next up, we have another copy of Stonebound Thisbe. Yeah, we're probably going to see her a good amount because 17 Sacreds is a lot of potential to get epics, and so I'm not going to be surprised to see copies of her. Captain Tamila, relatively underwhelming champion. She is a decent healer-ish, but not really that good or useful for my account. Although I think she does empower Dark Kale, so maybe she will be useful in that sense. She'll empower Dark Kale for me. Delaja, decent champion, mainly kind of Faction Wars support with the continuous heals and the shielding, AoE decrease attack. But yeah, Faction Wars, niche content, that's really where she only shines, unfortunately. Next up, we've got Claude, Beast Feeder, solid champion, good for like if you're really struggling with like Frostbiter and you need increased accuracy on your team, increased speed, it's nice follow up to that. Decent shield, decreased crit rate on the A1, but mainly just the A3 kind of can make him do some work. Super solid champion once again. Another legendary, wow. Oh, Sethalia, she is actually new. I think this is the first time I've pulled her, so we'll definitely take that. I don't know if she's going to be super useful on my account, but she is a buff stripper. She used to be like kind of arena meta way like 3-4 years ago at this point. Kind of like a Madame Sarah style champion back when that was kind of in vogue. But really strong heal, single target on the A2, 2-turn cooldown. Honestly, I think she kind of needs a fresh look as well in terms of a buff and kind of bring her into the modern era. But yeah, HP run on the A1. So we'll take it. New champion. Probably won't use her, but nonetheless, hey, can't complain about 2 legendaries so far and a non-2X. So we're at least walking away with 3 legendaries because, of course, we're getting Varkos as well. We've got 3 more Sacreds to pull. So again, can't complain about the double legendary. That's pretty solid there. Crypt Witch, terrible epic. Not much to say about her. 2 more Sacreds to go, and then we can call it a day here. Another epic, and it is Yelagurna, trash. And the last shard and the last epic, most likely for the day. Yep, there we go. And it is Hellgazer, everyone's favorite champion to murder in the campaign. Nothing to say about her. Unfortunately, we did have 2 chances there for Osgren, and we didn't get it. But like I said at the top, it started off at maybe a 6% chance, went up to like an 8% chance. So not in our favor at all whatsoever. So didn't get my hopes up for that. But again, we're not going to complain too much. Now I can just double check my math in the path, and we should be at our target of 89,300. Yes, and we are at 350. Perfect. So we can start moving down the left hand side and make sure that we're going down the right way. We're going down. All right, the far left. That's all we've got to do. We started off with the key, so we can open up that. We can go through the barrel, grab this, and then 60,000 for the champion, and there we go. Varkos is achieved, and we also get some progress in the coalition event. And yeah, we can basically stop right then and there. It's kind of interesting. You know, I don't really usually do you know, go for champions and heroes paths and whatnot. At least I haven't done that in a recent amount of time, but I'm so used to kind of getting fragments that I can fuse later on for points. But for once, or I guess once again, we get a champion who just kind of go straight into the inventory, so to speak. So yeah, Cesalia is a new legendary on my account. Like I said, probably not going to make usage of her just because I mean, she's okay. Like again, the AoE buff strip turn meter suppression is kind of nice, but I don't think she's really going to do much on my account, unfortunately. But Varkos most certainly is. He is going to be one of my, I guess he's my third, or no, maybe fourth arena defense-based nuker. Obviously, I use Marius. I still use Harima from time to time. I have gotten out of the habit of using Leonardo. Unfortunately, he's just not. He hasn't really held up, I should say. Outside of full turtle defense is kind of where he shines, but outside of that, which I don't really run, he's just not as good and not as much of a threat. But Varkos could definitely be a threat. I love block revive. Those who are fans of the channel and or watch my streams will always hear me talk about how much I do love block revive because it's just such an important threat in the PvP. So super excited to try him out. Kind of replace Leo's spot as far as my next in line defensive based nuker. Ideally he'd be in like Savage and 4-piece Mercurial. That's kind of what I had in mind. Just personally, I don't abide by the 9-piece Mercurial builds that are kind of invading everywhere, unfortunately. But yeah, just super excited to have him. Double hitter here, and extra turn here that can lead into either one of the other abilities. But the main thing is that he can do this when he counterattacks, ignore and killable. He can do this when he ally attacks with the block damage ignore and the shield ignore. And then, of course, his passive where he can basically is like a Rondo where he can just join in randomly whenever someone else attacks. So super excited to try him out, especially more so in the Mercurial meta, just because I find it difficult to kind of go against at least teams with full champions or full teams of 9-piece Mercurial. It's really hard to do AoE triple hitters unless you have a Marius. But even then, thinking like 3v3 thoughts, you only have one Marius, so he's on one team. But if there's another team of 9-piece Mercurial and everyone, then it's really, really difficult to kind of chip through all of that. So having an AoE counterattack on him sounds like a really, really fun opportunity. All right, so that's going to do it for today's video. Super excited to have this guy on my account, and of course can't complain about getting 2 legendaries along the way, given that we were rocking with the base rates out of 70 sacred. So we kind of doubled the odds. It's about 1 in 16 or so without a 2x on, which of course there isn't one on right now. So we got really, really lucky today to get 2 legendaries still. One of them being new, and again, one of them being a duplicate. In fact, 1 second here. Let's do the Ogren tribes to get some attack in the faction. Granted, I really don't think that I have anyone who needs it. Unfortunately, I don't use War Mother, and I guess it helps Cross a little bit. 10% attack for him, sure, why not? We'll take it. But anyways, yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below if you were also going for Varkos, or if you're just skipping the entirety of the path because you already have the champion, or and his soul, I guess, or you just don't care about the champion. He's not really doing anything for you, because of course then you don't really have any reason at all to pull right now, because there's no fusion going on. There's no tight event. It's just kind of a guaranteed event for people who want the champion. As always, if you did enjoy the video, then be sure to hit that like button down below. Really just help out the channel, and feel free to hit the subscribe button down below as well, if and only if you're enjoying the content overall on this channel, for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.